Attention all planets of the Solar Federation. We have assumed control. We have assumed control. We have assumed control.
So maybe you understood that reference, maybe you didn't, but I'll tell you right now, that is from the grand finale 2112 by Rush, released in 1976. Why are we doing a podcast on Rush? Well, a couple different reasons. Number one, again, this the podcast and these episodes that we're doing, was to be related to 50 years and above, as far as my age group, even if you're not 50, but really this is Rush related. Why is it such a big deal? Because 10 years ago, 10 and a half years, close to 11 years ago, I guess if we want to kind of get specific, it was August of 2015. Rush at that time had played their final show as Rush at that time. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart. 2015, that was it. It was the R40 tour, and that was it. It was done. It was the end of an era, which was really hard to accept. If you were a Rush fan or Rush geek, Rush nerd, I mean, I'm all of that. And that was it. We all kind of went on with our lives, and that was the end of it. And here we are, the day of. That's why this is important to do it the day of. I think there's no notes here. I'm kind of just riffing, and hopefully I can kind of get this message and these feelings out the way, if you're a Rush fan like me, why this is such an important day, at least for me. After these 10 plus years, Rush will be going back out on tour, opening tonight at the Forum in Los Angeles on the 50-something tour. Doesn't seem like a big deal if you're just an average person or you don't know the history of this band, but it's huge. All right. Let me just kind of put this into perspective as far as why this is so big for Rush fans. And even if you're an average Rush fan, we've all got our opinions. They're all like buttholes, right? We've all got one. So, and there's going to be good, bad, and what people feel. That's great. We're all entitled to our opinions, but to kind of just give you go back in time, really kind of go through the Wayback Machine and get you to where we are today. Rush releases their first album in 1974 entitled Rush. It was Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, at the time John Rutsey, for that particular moment and era of Rush. Rutsey never makes it to the first tour because they replace him with Neil Peart. You can go back and look for the reasons why. There's different ones, health reasons, whatever you want to kind of say. Well, it is, but that's the way it worked. They find Neil Peart, and they have about 2 weeks to rehearse for their tour where they're opening. I think it was for Uriah Heep in 1974. I want to say it was August of 74. I could be wrong, though. And the first gig, I believe, was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Civic Center, maybe the Igloo. It's in Pittsburgh. And then from that point on, Rush is becoming Rush as far as how we know it, if you followed it. The first couple albums, Rush, Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, into 2112, which is where they became Rush. It was hard at that point, and they finally broke through with 2112. And then you can kind of break it down into other eras of the band. It was Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, which was the big one for them. Tom Sawyer, YYZ, Red Barchetta, Limelight, Vital Signs, Witch Hunt, and The Camera Eye. That is what solidified Rush as a hard rock band. I mean, at least the commercial success, right? Because that's what you heard on the radio all the time. Arguments can be made for before that, but that was what made it for them. And then go into the synth era, synthesizers with Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, and then another era after that, Presto, Roll the Bones, Counterparts, into Test for Echo, which I liked a whole lot, maybe as a guitar player. It was heavier. Good friends of mine will even say not even close, but I think because it was a heavier guitar album, it worked for me. After the Test for Echo tour, everything changes for Rush. Not even just but for Neil Peart, okay? And how the band even carried on at some point after this, I'll never quite understand. But in an 11 month span, I think it was, 97, late 97 into 98, whatever it might have been. I don't know the exact time frame. Neil Peart loses his daughter in a single car accident. I don't remember all the details. And then again, with less than a year, it might have been 10 or 11 months, he loses his wife, common law wife, whatever you want to, people are going to nitpick if I don't get this right, but his wife, of cancer, to cancer. At that point, Rush is done. And I don't blame the guy. I don't blame any of them for hanging it up, because I don't know how you carry on after any of that. So that was it. 5 years had gone by, and there was nothing until 5 years later. There's a new album, Vapor Trails. There's a tour, and the band is kind of resurrected at that point. Um, and it was a fantastic run for 20 plus years. You had Vapor Trails. You had, geez, now I'm going to try to remember all. Vapor Trails. There was Feedback. There was, oof, what came after that? There was now I'm really drawing a blank on that. I should know this and I don't. I'm just drawing a blank. But there was Vapor Trails. There was Feedback. There was the stuff going into Clockwork Angels. And there was the Clockwork Angels album, which was their final album, and some fantastic live music in between there as far as live releases. Um, R30. There was the Time Machine part of it. There was R40. There was a lot going on there. The Snakes and Arrows. That's the one I missed. There was a Snakes and Arrows album. I knew I was missing something in there. Sorry, I got a little excited there because I remembered it. I'm old. I can remember things only part of the time. But that was it. And for Neil Peart, it was a lot. And he had another family. He had married. He has a daughter right now. Um, so that kind of got us to 2015. Why was 2015 so important? Because that was the final. It's just so fitting. The final show that they had done was the Forum in Los Angeles. I think it was August 1st of 2015. And the band is done. But again, things happen you can never imagine happening. Several years later, Neil Peart actually passes away from cancer. And it was just, not only did you know the band was done prior to that, you knew Rush was done at that point. You enjoyed the music, you kind of carried on with it. Lots of great cover bands out there carrying that music forward. Then out of nowhere, just I guess it was late last year, um, they make an announcement. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson make an announcement. They're going back on tour. After a while, when you're a musician, I guess it's in your blood, and you want to keep doing things and keep moving forward. And that's what they did. No, I mean, the whole Rush camp, they did an incredible job of just keeping things quiet, keeping things secret. Even when Neil Peart was sick and dying of cancer, no one, unless you were in the inner circle, no one knew anything about that until he actually passed away. And I even think it was several days after he passed that they finally made an announcement. So with all that going on, they decide they're going to go back on tour. I'm sure they had lots of people knocking on the door. Let me take. I can do this. I can fill in for Neil. The whole thing. And they went with a drummer most people probably didn't know about unless you were in the drumming community. Even me as a musician, I didn't know this individual. Her name is Annika Niles. And they went with it, and they've been rehearsing for months upon month, if not probably longer than that. Who knows? It's probably been several years. They kind of had her in the wings as far as working on the material. And that gets us to where we are today, tonight, um, 8 o'clock Pacific time. 11 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Rush is going to start the 50 something tour, which I don't think anybody had anticipated ever happening again. The two of them going on tour. Not only did I have Annika Niles on drums, they've got Lauren Gold playing keyboards, which is going to free Geddy up a lot to move around more on stage and just concentrate on bass and singing. Um, I don't know much about Lauren Gold, even Annika Niles. Annika Niles had been part of Jeff Beck's group for a while, I guess. Lauren Gold did some work with the Who, and I know there's some other groups in there, but the Who was probably the one most people would recognize. And tonight they hit the stage for the first time as Rush in 10 plus years. So this is a big thing because it's a huge tour, um, and they've apparently been rehearsing lots of songs. If you go back and look at the Rush catalog of sets and concerts over the last, from like 2002 in particular, for some reason that's the line in the sand for me. Don't ask me why. They mix up the tours all the time. I mean, they will have a set list, that they're going to play, and they'll play it through for the whole tour. But every tour is different, which is what makes Rush incredible. You've got folks my age that are going to hopefully be going to the show, and now you're taking your kids to the show. So this is a very big deal, I think, in the Rush community. You're going to have folks saying it's not Rush without Neil. Yeah, you're right. But also Neil, even though he was there for all those decades, was never the original drummer. So you can kind of slice and dice this any way you want. It's going to be incredible to see these guys on stage again, guys and gals, right? Because a little bit different now. And tonight they kick it off. It'll be 4 nights at the Forum, and they've alluded to that they're going to be playing quite a lot of songs. Every I think every four gigs, every four shows, it's going to be a different set list. So it's going to rotate every four shows. Doesn't mean every show is going to be different. I highly doubt that. I'm assuming 80 to 90% of the show is going to be standard all the way through, and then you're going to have the songs that they play most of the time. You'll have the songs they play some of the time, and then the songs that they play every once in a while. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I can't wait to follow it. I'll probably be talking more about it as we go along here, not only on the podcast, but on my YouTube stuff as well. So if you're looking to avoid spoilers, this is probably not the place to be. But a lot of eyes will be, lit up with anticipation. Name that tune and what album it comes from Rush. If you're a hardcore fan, you probably knew it right away. Especially the intro. What was that from? So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes. I am sure that Neil's wife, Carrie, is going to be there tonight. Their daughter is going to be there tonight. So this is going to be a very emotional setting tonight, because where it ended almost 11 years ago is where it's picking up again tonight. So it's just going to be something really great to follow and see where it goes. They've got a huge tour planned. I mean, it's going to be U.S., but they're going all over the place, places they've never been before. Who knows what happens afterwards? I don't think I really care. I want to see how this plays out, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to see a show when they come down to the Charlotte area. I don't know when that they played Charlotte the last time. I know that they played the amphitheater up in Concord years ago on the Roll of Bones tour. I don't know if they had come back since. So it's just an important night to kind of just be thankful that these guys are coming back out and playing these tunes that I've known for years. Alex Lifeson was and still is a huge influence on me. The open chord, the open string chords he would play, is just kind of cool. I love hearing, and that was an influence on me because I'm not a shredder. I can't play fast, but when you can play these open chords, it just sounds fantastic, right? If you can incorporate that into what you're doing. And I do that from time to time. I'll play these open chords just to give it a fuller sound with our band. So I just wanted to do this the day of, so it might be a little disjointed in how I'm going about this and preparing for it, and maybe not the way I should have done it, but the countdown is on. Name that song, what album? Actually, it's the same album as what I mentioned before. So it's just going to be a great night to celebrate music, celebrate the legacy of this band. And again, who knows what's going to happen after this, but man, to just kind of know that they're back out there playing some tunes and just seeing what they do that they've done before. I'm sure you're going to hear Tom Sawyer. You're going to hear Spirit of Radio. But I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to hear stuff that they've never played before. So we'll see, because the addition of again, you've got Annika on the drums, but having a dedicated keyboard player really can open things up for a lot of different reasons. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really excited now. It's a shame it's on the West Coast because it'll be later here, but not much more to say. I'm excited. Can you tell? So we'll see what happens. I've been a huge fan of Rush for years, back in the days when MTV was airing, the live videos of Tom Sawyer and I guess it was Red Barchetta from the Camera Eye video, which I guess VHS from 92, not 92, 82. So my first Rush show was Roll the Bones in 1992, Meadowlands Arena, June 19th. I went with my sister. Mr. Big was the opener. It was a phenomenal show. And then at that point going forward, I saw them probably a dozen times. 3 times in 94. Didn't see them on the Test for Echo tour. I actually didn't even see them on the Vapor Trails tour, which is kind of sad. But I saw them on the R30 tour at Radio City Music Hall in New York. And then just other places from there. Allentown, Pennsylvania, Newark, New Jersey, the Garden at MSG. So I've seen my fair share of shows, which is great. I mean, I'm very spoiled that I was able to do that. You've got folks who never had a chance to see them with the lineup of Geddy, Alex, and Neil. But here's a chance to see what that experience was like, because I'm looking forward to seeing how the show is set up. The lights, the lasers, all that goes along with it. What they do to kind of to go alongside the music. Again, the videos, lasers, everything that's programmed, it'll be very, very cool to see. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it as well if you're a Rush fan. I get it. Not everyone's in the same camp. If it's not the original three, people love to throw that around, but it never was the original three. So, if you want to split hairs, but I get it. Your rush was the three of them: Getty, Alex, Neil. Rush is Rush to me. So we're gonna see how this goes. I'm looking forward to it. Um, if you're going tonight, if you're going in LA, if you're going anywhere, let me know. I'm just kind of curious. So I want to hear how the experience was. I'm gonna go hopefully see them in the fall, and that's it, folks. I'm looking forward to this. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the fact that they're out there playing these tunes live again because um, I don't want to say anything and get myself in trouble, but it just seems like music in general has been struggling these days. So I'm glad to see these guys out there. And here we go. All right. Looking forward to it. All right, kids. Enjoy it. See you later.